what it mean to be the best. Riding folks, feeling unimpressed. Make me reminisce, throwing bows, bend the corner, set my mind up on the goal. All I know is stay down, bad, I'm the goal. Okay, feel like the best, the great. Now there ain't no debate. Yeah. Okay, feel like the best, the great. Now there ain't no debate. Yeah. I ain't gotta say much. Know the boy got a touch. Another win for the rush. Another win for the rush. See me once and got a crush. See you twice and that's enough. Get the ring sized up.
Welcome back to Tell the Truth, episode 79. Good to be back, guys. I understand that Clark Hunt, maybe wants a new stadium. I did not think that he would send a tornado to try and make that new stadium happen, but hey, it is what it is. It does appear that Arrowhead is still standing, even though there was reports of a touchdown.
He was out there. He was out there like, yeah, let that move hit. Let it hit.
Hit, please, hit that. I'm ready to move right now.
I know he was thinking about the insurance, like, right? Like, yeah.
He was for a touchdown harder than I was rooting for Noah Gray anytime touchdowns last season. Shout out to Clark Hunt. Obviously, we're not going to talk much about the stadium stuff because honestly, it's kind of boring and there's always the same updates, et cetera, et cetera. Apparently, there was some type of vote for Missouri. We'll see if anything happens. We'll talk about it when it's relevant. That being said, we obviously have some interesting previews to do as far as the Chiefs' AFC schedule. This is not going to include divisional opponents. We'll talk about them next week, of course, but we do have to talk about the teams that the Chiefs will be facing. They're in the middle of their second week of OTAs. We are going to get some press availability from them tomorrow, so we'll see if there anything worthwhile comes out of that. Nothing really interesting as far as the press conferences this time around, or I should say last week as far as the media members. And obviously we have mandatory mini camps on the horizon. Guys, how are you guys feeling today before we get into this schedule?
Like, woo, wearing shorts. Yay. Let's go around.
I don't want any stories. I don't care. Just don't get in trouble. That's really all I care about.
Yeah. Yeah, just stay out of trouble.
No news is good news.
Absolutely. So I will quickly do this because I tweeted this out. I think maybe it was last week sometime that I was going to be bringing back the Justin Ross checklist for off-season hype and applying it to Josh Simmons, a far more relevant player than Justin Ross ever will be in Kansas City as far as that's concerned. God willing. But I feel like it's relevant because we're going to be going through the offseason and we're just going to be tracking what exactly he's been able to do. So we're going to craft this tweet together very quickly, the three of us. And you're going to tell me if there's anything I need to include as far as the checklist is concerned. Now, we already have the OTA action checked off because he has done that. We got a little bit of individual drill work. Then we're going to get to mini camp and then team drills and then your first full Chiefs camp practice and, consecutive practice days, first padded practice, and then the preseason stuff. So you guys tell me if there's something I need to add or we're good to go ahead and send this out and roll with it.
Team drill, first consecutive. Yep, first You might want to add the first two games on there too. Well,
yeah. Because we didn't get past the first two games with the last rookie left tackle.
Yeah.
Can he get past week 2?
Can he get past week 2?
Or and make it something cool. Can he get past Eagle week?
Yeah.
Can he get past the Eagles?
Finish the Eagle game.
If he starts past the Eagles, we good.
Then we could get with Grease out there.
We good after that, my boy. Actually, really, you should put Eagles / Giants just because of that godforsaken field. So,
right?
That field. The curse on God's green earth. That field should not be alive.
I think we could certainly add that. I think that's a good way to end off.
If we make it past week 3, we cleared. Easy.
We're good. If he makes it past week 3 based on the Chiefs' history,
sign me up.
We're good. We're in the clear. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and tweet that out. That's gonna be the existence of that. People are arguing about Lad McConkey in my mentions. I apologize. I
don't need your respect,
he wasn't even talking to me. That's the crazy thing. But yeah, so the reason why I bring this up is because we did have
your respect is crazy.
Again, That's talking about Lad McConkey yards after reception ability. And that's just to tell you where we're at in the offseason, where people are saying, I don't need your respect about Lad McConkey.
A grown man mad if he tell you, I don't need your respect. You could, somebody mad when they say shit like that.
You're not lying. The reason why, of course, we did bring up the Josh Simmons checklist, which we're going to call the Josh Simmons Summit.
Look at that punch,
we got that man doing some individual ball work pause and going ahead in them shorts and the shirt. Go ahead and get a little workout in, shoulder mobility. The reports are that he's moving very well and a little bit ahead of schedule as well. So we'll continue to be on the lookout
Elbows
for
in,
that
DG.
too.
Elbows in. Keep them tight.
Just be healthy.
DG don't care. He's like, I don't give a fuck.
I don't care. Just be
I
healthy.
really don't care. Is your knee good? Can you do a squat? Can you do a squat?
Can you get on the field, young brother?
You good? Can you run? Can you get out of the screen?
If he can do that, we're good. But if he can't do that, then
Week 2,
me and Brett Beecher are going to have to fight.
We're going to have a conversation, so that's a fact.
You're going to have to fight. It's crazy. Yes, I'm sorry. That was on me.
Hey, yo. What?
I'm sorry. That was my fault.
Why should I call that out? That's funny.
We are going to make this a little bit of a quicker show for the simple fact that both of our baseball teams are going to be playing today.
Let's go, Royals.
It's going to be an interesting game for the Royals, of course. I love that all it took was a guy getting called up in an extremely
forget about it.
For DG to be all the way back
on
in.
The day of my daughter's wedding.
Forget about it.
DG, you have to do. They pulled me back in because that's what happened to you as far as the work.
Yeah, that's all it takes sometimes, man. You just gotta, call the kid up, bring him up here, and forget about it.
We knew this day was coming, baby. We knew this day was coming. It's earlier than expected.
Caglione,
You come to me on the day of my
let me make you an offer you can't refuse.
I give you that cake when you put him in 6 minutes in your lineup, okay? You come to me, he hit homers for me, he hit homers for you, he come to me. I produce, you get him.
Oh my goodness. Y'all are
lonely, a little
This Jack. He get you right. He get homer, you go be right. You get.
Said it, Jack.
This my man. This Jack.
Oh my God, y'all are hilarious, man. Are we playing? Are we home? I'm sorry to ask you guys this. Are we home to Baltimore? Or we are home to Baltimore.
Yeah.
All the good games is at the crib outside of like Buffalo. That's really
All right, so we are actually going to start, in fact, with that Buffalo game in Week 4, in Arrowhead. That's gonna be a 3:30 game, I assume, right? I don't think that's a primetime game.
Yeah, 3:25. Yeah. See, that'll be a CBS game. That'll be a
Tony Romo and Jim.
Hello, friends.
We're back here in Kansas City.
I don't know, Jim.
This season.
I don't know about this.
Come on, Jim. You might not want to run this play here, Jim.
They're going to run 2 tight end sets. He's going to run the seam. Here he goes. Tony Shuck Show. Oh, dramatic ass.
All right. So we're starting here Week 4. Ravens. Obviously, the Chiefs have played the Ravens on a consistent basis. Opened up last season, obviously, for the title, for the banner night, I should say, to open up the 2024 NFL season against the Ravens, which was an awesome game to watch. Obviously, ending with that Isaiah Likely toe out of bounds that was not end up called a touchdown, and the Chiefs ended up getting open night winning. The Ravens had their season end very disappointingly with a Mark Andrews drop in an uneven Lamar Jackson playoff game on the road in Buffalo, losing to Josh Allen in the AFC divisional round. Now, obviously, there's been a lot of conversation about the level of play of Lamar Jackson the last few years and the play about, Patrick Mahomes the last few years. And I'm going to expand this as well to Josh Allen from this standpoint. Then we can get to the Bills when I'm going to ask it a different question. But I'm sure you guys have had to answer this question on a variety of platforms, but there are people that feel that Patrick Mahomes, due to the down nature, statistically at least, from the last 2 years, that maybe his standing as the number 1 quarterback in the National Football League is not as solid as it was previously. How do you guys feel about specifically 2 guys that we have on the schedule here, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and how close they are to Patrick Mahomes as far as being that number 1 quarterback in the National Football League?
I think,
Cute.
yeah, talent wise, yeah, it's close. I mean, those are obviously you would pick those guys as probably 2 and 3. As far as if you're gonna go with top 10, top 5, whatever, is the best quarterbacks in the league. But it ultimately proves that you haven't beat him. When it's significant for you to beat him, you haven't beat the guy yet. So until you do that, until you get past it in a significant way and get to the Super Bowl, I'm always going to put him ahead of you at this
Yeah.
point. So,
Kind of the same argument we've had for the last. I think the last time the argument was legitimate was probably 2022 when we lost Tyreek, and then Pat went out there and won the Super Bowl with the probably worst receiving core in the league. And then the following year he did it when they let him in drops. I mean, there's really nothing you can really argue at that point. So it's always going to be Pat's number one, and then 2 through 4 is always Joe, Josh, Lamar, however you want to argue it. I've always been a Joe 2 guy just because he's the best thrower of the football of those three, separately, in my personal opinion. But I'm not mad at like people like DG said, if you have Lamar or Josh at 2, I couldn't really have like a counter argument for you, like why they shouldn't be it. All 3 of them have an argument for 2. Obviously, Lamar has 2 MVPs. Josh Allen now has 1. Joe Burrow just came off a historical season. So there's really all of it, and he's the only one that actually beat Pat when it mattered, like DG just stated. So there's an argument for all 3 guys, but for me, I've always had Joe Burrow at 2. That's just me. So.
Look, I just think it's interesting. I agree with you ultimately, and I think that the down nature of Patrick Mahomes 2023 is a little bit overblown given the context that how often his wide receivers were letting him down. I think that not enough is necessarily talked about the fact that he didn't have his wide receiver 1 for the majority of last year, but I will be willing to say that his play certainly wasn't there either, especially to start the year. But at the end of the day, if these guys can put together an MVP type of regular season, which, I think Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen had that quality, or you could say even Joe Burrow from that standpoint. If you don't get it done in the playoffs, there's nothing much more you can do. And it's one of those things when the guy that has the crown has both the regular season accomplishments and the playoff accomplishments, and then continues to get it done in the playoffs. You got to take it off of him if you want to have it. You got to snatch that crown from him. You have to be the huntee. Or the hunter in that standpoint, and take it away from him. You can't just have it gifted to you by default because that guy, didn't have as great of a regular season as previously. That's just the reality of the situation for me personally.
And he's had the worst weapons of the 4, like by far, in the last few years. Like no question, Pat has had the worst set of weapons between those 4 guys. It's not close.
Yeah. Some people would argue Josh Allen, but I still think that Josh Allen's had more consistent weapons, certainly from that.
Which I give me James Cook. We're making Cook board.
Well, that's the other thing. I would say even the Bengals had a representative run game. That the Chiefs has not had one that's existed.
I like that.
Last year. So that was a quick question as far as the Ravens. Obviously, getting into this specific matchup as far as the Ravens and Chiefs are concerned. Just give me, what's your biggest matchup that you're going to be looking for? What's your key concern as far as going into this game, week 4, coming off of those Eagles and Giants games as we referenced earlier in the podcast?
I mean, we all talk about the old line, obviously. The Ravens were top in the league in sacks last year, even without having like a dominant rusher. I mean, even though Mafe had a good year, Justin Metabike is one of the elite D tackles in the league. So, what's the matchup I'm most? You said most. I'm most interested to look. Probably the secondary group. They had a guy like Malachi Starks. You already got to deal with a guy like Kyle Hamilton. You put those 2 together, and it's kind of funny during the draft. We all said, "Watch Malachi fall to the Ravens." That's exactly what happened. So that's probably the most exciting matchup I'm excited to see. Obviously, they see their 2 tight ends every day with Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. So obviously, Trav, Noah, and hopefully Jared Wiley be ready to roll by then. Will be an exciting matchup for them. I mean, we know middle of the field is where your money's made. And unfortunately, the way our game ended was with the toe with Isaiah Likely, another tight end. So middle of the field is always going to be big plays, vice versa for our defense and their defense. So that'll probably be the most exciting matchup. Most excited to see their safeties versus our tight ends for sure.
Yeah, I don't have like wild expectations for this game just because I think both of these teams know each other pretty well to this point, know what each one of them like to do. They've played each other numerous amount of times over the last couple of years. I think Pat has played Lamar every year.
Almost every year.
Every year in the league.
Almost every year.
That's not playoff regular season, yeah.
So I mean, they should be, obviously really familiar with one another. I think the significant matchup that CJ talked about was just them adding to that secondary of now having Starks and Kyle Hamilton. That's a pretty big, I guess, to me, an improvement for their secondary, for a secondary last year that struggled at points in time, especially early on in the year.
Facts.
But gradually got better as they kind of moved Kyle Hamilton around in the field. I think bringing him down more in the box a little bit kind of helped him out. Getting back to playing a little bit better ball on that side. But yeah, it's always a grudge match. It's always a match I think that's always going to come down to virtually who's got the ball last. Really, in my opinion. So um, I guess my thing would be again is just um, how do we continuously attack and stop the running attack of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. Spags has had very good success in being able to slow down Derrick Henry in that effect, and then being able to contain Lamar Jackson. So be intriguing to see if Spags continues to have that type of success against them, or does or the Ravens end up having a trick or two up their sleeve in this matchup. So
Yeah. And you obviously mentioned the secondary aspect of it, specifically for our wide receivers versus them. I think that's where I go to immediately in King Mo. It's along the lines where I'm going with. Rashee Rice had an excellent opening game last year versus the Ravens, and the way in which he was able to operate out of the slot was really impressive. Do they have a different plan of attack? Obviously, the Marlon Humphrey wasn't necessarily a great plan for them in the way that it ended up working out. What is their plan going to be adjusted to? Do they want to use a little bit more of Kyle Hamilton in the slot from that standpoint? Now that Starks is there, Darius Washington is going to be out for them, so maybe they're not as comfortable from that early on in the season from that standpoint. That's going to be a big thing for me. Rashee Rice, hopefully by this point, will have 3 games under his belt to be able to work back from as well from that ACL. How he is used to attack this team is going to be very interesting. But Ravens have one of the best rosters in the National Football League, and obviously they're going to be a tough challenge, to say the least, as far as that is concerned too. And then so we're going to go ahead and move on to Week 5 for the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Chiefs will be hosting them. They will be going on the road to the Jacksonville Jaguars Monday Night Football Week 5 as well. Yes. With not Tony, I almost said Tony Romo. With why did they not Troy Aikman? Clark. There you go. Troy Aikman and Joe Buck on the call as far as that is concerned. But yes, so on the road in Duval County, first look for the Chiefs at Mr. Travis Hunter, Brian Thomas Jr., formerly a dynamic wide receiver duo for Trevor Lawrence to attack with. And then obviously the cornerback side of it, Travis Hunter, we assume will be getting defensive snaps as well in this game. So Week 5, we'll have an ideal as far as Travis Hunter's role is concerned. But going into this game, how do you guys feel about what would be the key matchups and key concerns going up against this Jacksonville Jaguars team with Liam Cohen at the helm as a new head coach?
I think for down there, it's a lot of question marks right now for Jaguars and the new addition of bringing in Liam Cohen and what he can bring to the table for that offense. A lot of question marks for Trevor Lawrence and his development. As far as based off of last year, a lot of people are in talks of that the relationship down there may be souring with him and the fan base.
A little spicy.
Trusting him to be the guy for the future, the prince that was promised to them. So, we'll see. But yeah, the King Mo just brought up too. That's a great matchup as well. Brian Thomas Jr. versus Trent McDuffie, or versus our secondary. Seeing the development of last year was incredible what he was able to do. So it'd be a very, very intriguing matchup. They definitely have the weapons, and adding him and having Travis Hunter as well on that side of the ball now. And it should be a really, really exciting game. A great atmosphere on Monday night. That's an electric place. So it'll be a lot of fun to watch the Chiefs go down. I hate to say that I'd be extremely confident going into that game because I don't know what the Jags are actually going to be this year. I think there's way too many question marks for them. But as always, you never know what the Chiefs are going to bring in prime time, especially on the road. So it could get a little dicey. But I expect the Chiefs to fully go out there and be able to handle their business.
Mm-hmm.
Every time we play Jacksonville, it's always either a controversial game or a win for us. So obviously, it's always going to be good competition. Liam Cohen's a hell of an OC, one of the best in the league. Took Baker the last couple of years, had him playing amazing football in Tampa. Now we're going to see what he can do with a guy like Trevor Lawrence. Kind of a sour feel for a lot of fans, like DG said, based off his last year's performance. BTJ had a hell of a rookie year. Obviously, Travis Etienne is possibly on the trading block, so we'll see. By that point in time, we should have a good idea of what the roster is, like DMac said earlier. So we'll know which guys we could see being out of the rotation, which guys are in the rotation. So every time we play them, Etienne's always a guy that you got to know where your head is at all time for them, because he can catch the ball in the backfield. He gives the ball up the gut. He does inside zone, outside zone. He's a very explosive player. And then obviously you got guys like Bigsby as well. I'm taking Bigsby, another good running back for them who's going to be in the rotation. So they have a good staple of backs. And they added a guy in the draft. I forgot his name, but I think they added another good back in the draft as well. Obviously, they moved on from Evan Ingram, so that's a loss for them. He went on at Denver, ironically. Now we got to see him twice a year. It's always going to be a good competition. Trevor Lawrence has not lived up to the hype like where we thought they were going to be. All white unit will be fire on Monday night. That would be dope.
All white.
But no, every time we play Jacksonville is always a good competition. Travis Hunter's kind of the wild card. We're going to see how they use him. Is he more of like from what the reps I've seen, it looks like he's going to be 60 to 70% offense on receiver, and then like 30 to 40% secondary playing corner. So, which is naturally what I expected to play more receiver than he is corner. So that'll kind of be the biggest one. I know obviously you got to know where your head is at all times with BTJ. He's one of the better young receivers in the league. He had an amazing rookie year, so obviously they're going to get the ball down the field to him early and often. We're going to put some pressure on Trevor Lawrence, make him make some throws, man. We've known in the past for him to turn the ball over, make mistakes, and you put him under high-pressure situations. So I expect that to be the same. Week 5, we should be semi-rolling on defense as far as our SPAG defense and our continuous of dominance in that regard. So, it'll be a good matchup. I think the biggest one is definitely going to be that's another good D-line matchup for us as well. You got a guy like Trayvon Walker. We're going to have to block him as well. So it's going to be a good matchup for us up front. But, the biggest one is definitely going to be their receivers versus our DBs and vice versa, because we both have a lot of good players on both sides of the ball. So, and I know they made a lot of changes up front with their offensive line. So that'd be a good other option for our D-line to go out there and dominate and assert their dominance. But, the biggest matchup for me is definitely their receivers versus our DBs for sure. They got a lot of guys to throw the ball to. I know Travis Hunter is raw and he's a rookie, but he still has an athlete for sure.
Yeah, and I mean you can't just rule out the fact that they had the brand new acquisition that they made. Of course, Luis Reed-Zammit to that wide receiver is a rumor.
You can't forget him. DG's favorite.
No, look.
All right. See you later. I'm done.
No, I think it's going to be interesting. You obviously touched on the wide receivers. I still think that Travis Hunter should be a full-time DB, and a part-time wide receiver is going to do it that way. If they do it opposite, we'll see how it ends up going as far as that's concerned. Either way, we'll see him. We'll see BTJ. We'll see Diamond Brown being able to do with those guys. Going to be interesting. Liam Cohen, I believe, is going to have a different offensive system as well. Ultimately, like you said, the defensive thing is, hey, can you get after Trevor Lawrence? And I think be able to apply that pressure. There's still holes on this offensive line that you can take advantage of. So I think that is important as well. And then the other thing, as far as the other side of the ball, this is one of those games where I feel like, hey, I think you can run on this team. I don't think that their linebacker core is really good. I think the interior of their defensive line is still soft. You should be able to run on this team. Can you get an established run game going this entire season is going to be a question mark. I would like to see it show up on Monday night in Jacksonville, certainly in this matchup too. So moving on, going to week 9, a few weeks down the road, 3:30 on CBS, of course, at Buffalo Bills.
The scheduled loss. The scheduled L.
Right before the bye.
Yeah.
Yes, right before the bye. Last year, of course, these two teams met up twice. We went to Buffalo in the regular season. Xavier Worthy had a solid game, showed some flashes of what was to come. Ultimately ended up losing that game on a Josh Allen play that ended up, in some people's minds, sealing the MVP for him at the end of that game. And then also in the AFC Championship game, obviously the Chiefs were able to pull out the victory in Arrowhead. So Chiefs go on the road to Buffalo. I'm going to ask a different question than the quarterback rankings target before we get into the matchups. I mean, this is going to be the conversation going into this, but I'll twist it this way. do you feel like either the Ravens or Buffalo or another non-divisional opponent is ultimately the biggest challenge to the Chiefs in the AFC, or do you think the biggest challenge to the AFC for the Chiefs comes within the division as far as the Broncos and Chargers?
No, I think the Bills are and the Ravens.
Ravens, yeah.
Yeah,
Quarterback
it'll
play.
always be them to be for right now.
For sure.
Until proven otherwise. They're the two teams that have, either played you extremely close down to the wire, or the Bills in the regular season have just, proven that they can beat you. You know, so this is a great opportunity for Chiefs to kind of go up to a place where they haven't had much success, especially in the regular season, and try to get a dub. But yeah, it's always a great matchup to go against the Bills. I feel like I call it a schedule L, just because we just have not had great success against them in the regular season. It's always some weird and wacky kind of way we lose to them. But I expect the same things. I don't expect anything different from this game versus any other previous matchups.
That's always a game where we argue after the game on Spaces with fellow fans. Like, what was Andy calling? That was the worst play call ever. Why were we doing this? Spags, why is he playing? He'll put some young guy in, and we'll get mad. We'll yell for like 2-3 hours. DG will drop out of the space, and me and DMac will try to be the voice of reason. We're like, hey, it's early. We're not going to give our hand. We're going to obviously keep things up our sleeve, and then we'll see them in January, and we know how the story goes. So it's not really anything I can really say, honestly, that people aren't going to believe. We play this team every year since Pat's been a starter damn near. So it is what it is with them. We, like we said earlier about the Ravens, they know what we like to do. They know it, and vice versa. It's just a matchup. It's like looking your brother in the mirror. Like, you play them every year. You play them. They're business. This is like a division team for us because we've seen them so much. Play them damn near twice a year, every year. So we know their strength. They know ours. We know their weaknesses, and they know ours as well. So it's going to come down to, can you get off the field on third down? That's the biggest thing. Can you score points in the red zone? Keep Josh Allen out the end zone and keep Pat Mahomes out the end zone. That's what it comes down to. Both these teams are going to score points. They're going to move the ball efficiently like they always do. This is a game where it comes down to who has the ball last. And unfortunately, Josh Allen had the ball last, well, with time on the clock, and scored last year, and we tried to answer, and we didn't respond. So, we got the classic meme of Trav walking off the field with the clap. No one will see them again, and that's usually what happens. And this game being before the bye, it would not shock me if that's the way the script went again. But who knows? The NFL writers may have something different for us this year. So maybe we do beat them in the regular season. Who knows? But as of now, hey, you never know.
Yeah, you never know. I do think that it's going to end up being a scheduled loss, of course, that it always is to Buffalo in the regular season, but it is what it is. The most point, I don't care as long as we keep beating when it matters most. We could lose every single game in the regular season to them for the rest of the time. I do not care.
January is January.
I will happily lose to them in the regular season if we continue beating them in the playoffs, as far as that's concerned. So that being said, I do agree with you guys. I still have the Ravens and Bills as the number one challengers, above, the Broncos or Chargers, no matter how many times some idiot on Fox or somebody else and is going to tell you that they're going to be taking the AFC West from the Chiefs this year, as is tradition in June, of course. So as far as the matchups are concerned, I'll start off here. For me, I think that in the past, you've seen different ways in which we've tried to deal with Josh Allen, but it's always been usually playoffs that we have different wrinkles accordingly for it. It's normally not something we deal with as far as that is concerned. My main thing is, given the fact that we're still kind of light on the interior defensive line, I'm going to be very interested to see how we handle the run in this matchup. I think it's going to be a really good test. Obviously, James Cook is really good. We know how good Josh Allen is with his legs and what kind of danger he poses as well. It's a really good offensive line. So how our run defense shows up in this game is going to be kind of interesting, because this is going to be the tape that Spagnuolo bases his defensive game plan in January, of course, off of when we end up inevitably seeing the Bills again in the playoffs. So it's going to be very interesting how the run defense shows up in this game. But for you guys, what are the major matchups, and then obviously the concerns of bringing the Bills here in Week 9 is going to bring with it?
It's always James Cook and Josh Allen. For me, really the whole backfield. It's like I said, third down. When you got to deal with Josh Allen's legs, James Cook just had a career year. He's obviously fighting for a new contract currently as well. Rightfully so. He had a hell of a year. Those are the two guys you got to – it feels like every time we play them, one, if not both of those guys score a touchdown, because they're just so dynamic in the way they use them in the run game. And we had to beef up and stop him on a couple third and shorts and a couple of fourth and shorts in the AFC Championship game, because when you have a guy who's 6'5", 250 on fourth down, it's kind of like a cheat code. And they don't have to use a tush push, no shade thrown. But when you have a guy like that, they can kind of get a first down whenever they want.
Well, they try. It didn't work out all that well.
They could have flipped it, but hey, we watch film. So, but no, anytime you play Josh Allen, it's always a tough matchup just because he extends plays. Probably the strongest arm in the league. Him and Pat obviously 1-2. And when he's outside the pocket, he's dangerous. And he proved that every year he's been in the league. And he's gotten better. He's cut down on his turnovers. And James Cook has become one of the most dynamic weapons in football as well. When you have a guy who can catch the ball, run in between the tackles, every time he touches the ball, he's a threat to go to the crib. So that just makes their offense so hard to guard, especially when you're on third down. And even for a guy like Spags, this will be week 9, so right before the bye. So obviously we don't want to expect him to put in too much of an installment as far as wrinkles on the defense, because we have a whole bye week in second half of the year to do so when we see him in January. So I expect the defense to be very vanilla. But when you play that offense, it's always the backfield. That's always the biggest question mark for me as far as matchups wise. What are we going to do on third down with Josh Allen and James Cook? Those guys are always a threat to get first downs, man. The first downs kill you.
Yeah, DG, what about you?
Yeah, I think it's the same thing. Anytime you face Josh Allen, you understand what you're kind of up against. As far as him being able to use his most dynamic weapon, which is his legs. Even though I think he's ultimately still a great thrower of the football as well, too. But I think he's more dynamic when he's got the ball in his hands and being able to kind of get out on the edge. I think the intriguing thing for the Chiefs this year is they're a little bit more athletic on the edge this year. Last year you went into that game, I think without Charles Omenihu last year as well. Then vice versa, going into the playoff game where you kind of had him back and you were kind of able to contain Josh Allen a little bit more this year. Now the addition of Homer Norman Lott and Ashton Gelati, those guys like that, I would expect them to have bigger roles in this game, and as far as being able to kind of contain that beast of a run game they have between Allen and James Cook. But that's ultimately the two guys that you end up having to stop. I don't think, and there's no disrespect to the Bills or anything, but I don't think they have a receiver that you're that afraid of at this point in their career. Keon Coleman, had a little bit of success last year, but didn't really prove a whole lot to you last year. Dalton Kincaid continues to progress through his career, but at the same time has struggled with some injuries and things of that nature. So you don't really know what you're virtually going to get from him or whatever. So them attacking you through the air, I think wouldn't, surprise you a whole bunch or shock you a whole bunch. But at the same time, I think that run game is their bread and butter at this point in time. And if you can be able to stop that, I think you'll be able to walk out of Buffalo with a win. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think Khalil Shakir obviously did sign that extension, so he'll be somebody that you have to watch from that standpoint as well. I mean, look, I hope that this team does come out with a renewed sense of hunger from that standpoint to avenge that loss too. Obviously, Rondo put up, the prayer circle for a healthy Rice, Brown, and Worthy. I do want to bring this up here. We do have pictures from the Chiefs of a healthy Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy for indoor OTA practices. I assume
big foes
today.
Stop playing with foes, man.
They both are feeling good, getting the job done. Some indoor work. We got a Trey McDuffie shot as well. You got some Chris Jones work, and then Nico Remigio, Isaiah Pacheco, maybe having some fun at the end of the practice as well. So we will. What?
We got a Bobby.
We got a Bobby bomb. Bobby bomb.
Come on, Palante.
More like picante sauce. Fuck is he talking
about? Baby. Bring the cat. See what the Cackster is doing?
Hey, yeah,
you see the spark?
Yeah.
Dude, 95 right down the middle inside to Bobby with Junior Palante. What the hell are you doing?
Throwing home run derby pitches. That's what we doing.
Jesus Christ, Palante. You threw it right down the middle. Anyway, we lost CJ in the process. Moving on from the Bills. We're on to the Colts in Week 12. Of course, the Indianapolis Colts have continued to give the Chiefs all manners of fits as far as the regular season is concerned. and the ability for the Chiefs to avoid losing to the Colts has been a consistent narrative that obviously Chiefs fans have talked about, specifically in the regular season, of course. I'm going to wait to maybe introduce this as we get further down to these last three teams. We only have the AFC South teams left as far as this is concerned. So before we get into those AFC South teams and their specific matchups, how do you guys feel about the division of AFC South? Again, continue to give a little bit of issues as far as us matching up in the regular season. How do you guys feel about, the Texans, obviously, theoretically, as the favorites coming into it, the Colts, trying to get some traction with AR and bringing in Daniel Jones, if that's not working because the coaching staff is fighting for their lives. Obviously, the Jaguars' improvement at the Titans and stuff. How do you feel about the AFC South as kind of the forgotten division, I suppose, of the AFC right now?
I think it's what you said, kind of the forgotten the part of it. Like they really
question marks.
It's been a lot of question marks, a lot of different moves,
for everyone,
coaching changes in that and within that division. I think the Titans have a new coach. The Jaguars have acquired a new coach as well too. A lot of changes in that Colts organization as well. I think that the only real main consistency in that division kind of has been Houston up until this point. What they've been able to do. That's really, to me, the only team that I feel like poses a big threat to the Chiefs. I know we haven't had much success against the Colts, so hopefully we be able to disappoint them this year so I can talk trash to one of Christopher Lewis of Sports After Dark.
Oh, we beating them. He knows. He knows what time it is.
You sound mighty confident.
Bro, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. No.
Yeah.
You can say we're not doing this, but hey, man, all it takes is Chris Jones to utter something to the quarterback, and all of a sudden we lost.
Yeah, right.
My name's Matt Ryan. I don't know.
Yeah, but no, I think the AFC South is just a lot of question marks at this point. That just have to have things play out for a lot of teams or whatever. But I always expect them to play us really tough. For some reason, just through our history. Even before Patrick Mahomes, the AFC South has always been a really grudge division for us to face. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm excited for it, and I can't wait to play. Especially can't wait to see what Cam Ward and what he can do for the Tennessee Titans, and being able to try to see if he can change that franchise around.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we get into this Colts-specific matchup, I mean, what are the key concerns or things that you guys are going to be looking for going hosting the Colts? I'll say, hopefully we don't wear all red again. I think this is not supposed to be a noon game. No, it is a noon game. It is a noon game.
One of our
noon game at Arrowhead for the Colts in Week 12.
I'll be having a nooner before the game for sure. But naturally, bro, another reason why we're winning this game. This is going to be late in the season, after our bye week, obviously. We're going to be well in tune. We'll be like semi-playoff mode, obviously. We'll be in tune. We know who guys are going to be in the rotation. We're not doing this, early in the season, not showing our hand, and we lose the game to a team that we have no business losing to. We're not doing that this year. We're beating the Colts. I don't care what C-Lou says. I don't care what DMac thinks. We're winning the game, and I really don't give a fuck to talk about it because I know we're going to win. I'm not doing this game. And the only matchup that I would obviously have the most concern for, Jonathan Taylor. He's one of the best running backs in the league. Anytime you give him the ball, he's always a threat to go to the crib because he's also a long speed runner and a very physical back as well. So he does everything for them. He is the engine to their offense. We'll see who the quarterback is by that point. We should make a bet if it's going to be Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson. My money's on Daniel Jones. Don't think AR is going to last that long because this will be 12 weeks. Yeah, he hasn't shown me any reason that he's going to stay on the field. So, that'll be the biggest matchup for me, run game. We stop the run, we win the game. Very simple. I'm not worried about their passing game. They have some guys that I like at receiver. I love Alec Pierce. I like Josh Downs. Mike Pittman is nice. I love all the weapons on their team, but I don't trust the quarterbacks to get the ball to them. So if you stop the run game, we win the game. That's a very simple matchup for me. So win the game, no matter if you do it 17-14, even though we should beat the dog out of them. But whatever you got to do, just leave their head with a W. And I'm going to make fun of C. Luke because he's going to be at that game too. So.
DG, what about you as far as this matchup is concerned?
Yeah, I mean, virtually that's the only matchup I think you really have to point towards is our front seven versus Jonathan Taylor. and being able to stop him. We face a lot of good running backs this year. This is crazy.
Same thing every year.
But yeah, being able to stop him, slow him down. I think if you're virtually able to do that, again, and there's no disrespect to the Colts or anything, they don't have a lot in their receiving core that I think really just scares you or pops out on paper like that. Ultimately by week 12, that could potentially change with just how things are clicking and who's honestly playing quarterback. If it's Anthony Richardson or not, at this point. But I always expect it to be a really intriguing matchup. But it's a matchup I expect us to win. I expect us to be firing on all cylinders at that point in time, especially that late in the season. I think the playbook for Andy and them will be fully open, and it could be one of those games where it's got significant playoff implications for them. So I expect the Chiefs to have it on full go. I think it's what CJ said. They're not catching us at a early on in the season where we're not trying to show a whole bunch or whatever. It's more. This is a late season game, so especially late season in Arrowhead, 12 o'clock at noon. So I expect the full fire of weapons to be ready to go at that point in time. So
anytime interception. You're welcome.
like you said, man, it's late in the season. Hopefully by this point you've seen whatever the Spags adjustments are going to be. You've locked in your defensive rotations. Front Zephyrs JT is certainly going to be a big piece of this as far as Chemo is concerned. We will be seeing an old friend as far as Shavarius Ward, who is an offseason signing for the Indianapolis Colts. Yep, and obviously to me, I think this would be interesting to see where the cornerback room is at, because they have Pittman, they have Josh Downs, and I'm missing the other one. They got Alec Pierce. They have some interesting wide receivers, not necessarily elite guys, but guys that are worthwhile talking about. How we decide to deploy our cornerbacks by that point, obviously the Jalen Watsons, Noah Williams, Christian Fulton, obviously with Trent McDuffie leading off that room, is going to be fascinating by this point in the season, which you think you're going to be having that pretty pared down as well. Moving on to the Houston Texans, Week 14, hosting them in Arrowhead, a rematch of both. I think it was a Week 16 game that was right before Christmas, and the divisional round in which the Chiefs were able to take out the Houston Texans and CJ Stroud. They've made some moves. They moved on from Laremy Tunsil. They've obviously tried to reshuffle things as far as offensive line is concerned. Hope to get a healthy Nico Collins. They drafted two for kind of marquee wide receivers in the draft as far as Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel.
State Texans.
And that Texans defense still looks extremely stout. So as far as going into this game, this matchup, what are some of the key concerns that you're going to be talking about?
I think going against our defensive line, going against that offensive line, I guess you could say revamped offensive line for them.
Reimagined.
Yeah.
Reshuffled, whatever you want to say.
We'll see. I think there's still a lot of question marks for that offensive line at this point. How well can they hold up? How well can they protect CJ Stroud? And I think that that's ultimately what this game ends up coming down to. That's ultimately what the last playoff game when we faced them ended up coming down to. Them not being able to protect them to a certain extent, I think honestly cost them the game. So can the Chiefs defense, tee off and get to them multiple times in this one? I think if they're able to do that, then it could get ugly pretty quick. But I always expect the Texans to be very, very competitive against the CJ Stroud. Has honestly been turned into one of the better quarterbacks in this league, and with them having that receiving core, it's always tough to go up against a guy like Nico Collins. Now them adding Higgins and Noel to that receiving core as well. Hopefully Tank Dell is back by that point again too. I know that'd be
he ain't playing this year.
Pretty. We'll see, but I know that'd be a pretty significant game for him if he was able to come back and play the stadium where his season ended last year. Yeah, so, but we'll see. I think it'd be a fun matchup under the lights, Sunday Night Football. Cold. Arrowhead rocking, a lot of fans drunk at that point in time. So
prime time football,
very fun game. I don't envy Houston at all for what they're gonna have to probably go through.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. Anything for you, CJ, as far as this matchup?
Nope. Every time we play them, it's always a good physical game. It's gonna be a low-scoring football game. This is probably We say this is the second or third best defense we're going to see this year. We see Denver, Philly, Houston. How would you rank those two?
I would say Denver would be the one that I'd probably say would be over them, and then I'd have Philly third. So I'd say second.
Okay. So this is going to be one of the better defenses we see this year. Definitely 3 on our schedule. Last time we played them, it was a physical game. It was a low-scoring game. They have really good corners. Obviously, Stingley got paid well this offseason. Hopefully, we'll be talking about a Trent McDuffie contract soon to compare the two, and they'll always be linked together forever because they're two of the younger dynamic corners. But, yeah, it's always a matchup of their secondary versus our receivers. It's going to be a lot different now. We got Rasheed out there, Worthy, Hollywood, hopefully all 3 of those guys. Fahrenheit 451, as DMac likes to call them. If those guys are all on the field and we're protecting Pat well, I have no doubt 15 is going to go out there and do what he does, man. That's the biggest matchup for me. Their secondary versus our receivers. It was very tough for us last year, given the guys that were out. So get those guys on the field, and Travis Kelce rev that engine up a couple more times during the year, and it's always a good scrum and always a good bump when we play them. So it's going to be a physical football game for sure. Joe Mixon was a dog last year, had a career year. I expect that to be the same again this year. So stopping the run is going to be key in all these games, kind of like a running theme. But, yeah, the biggest matchup for me is their corners versus our receivers. That's the biggest matchup for sure.
Yeah, by the point in the season, I'm going to be looking for this offensive line to be well-rounded into form. Whoever is going to end up being the left tackle is by that point. And so obviously this is going to be a very difficult test with Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter, and how good that pairing was last year specifically. And we got a glimpse of that specifically in that playoff matchup where I thought that Joe Thuney was doing the best he possibly could, but ultimately we had to get the ball out very quickly on that standpoint. Is hopefully by this point, the offensive line is in a better point than when we last saw the Texans versus this offensive line as well in the playoffs. And if you get to that point, then can you attack with those wide receivers effectively, as they did not have to face Rashee Rice? Obviously, they got a glimpse of Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy, but not much ended up happening necessarily in that game, and because the passing attack had to be very quick. So can you get a little bit more from this offensive line in this matchup and then be able to attack accordingly a little bit more down the field and put the secondary to the test, because the Texas defense is too good just to try and live off a quick game as well. So wrapping up at Titans, week 16, Cam Ward, hopefully, for his own sake, 15 games worth under his belt. We'll be headed to Tennessee for a noon kickoff as well. I believe this is going to be almost at the end of December. I think it's at the end of December ultimately.
Another nooner, baby.
Nooner. I won't tell you guys about the matchups from that standpoint. Just hopefully this is going to be a very professional game in which the Chiefs could go in there, handle their business, and not make it extremely close for no reason, and definitely stay healthy as well. That'd be a huge aspect.
We need our get back. The last time we down there, we played like trash. They whooped our behind. That was a different era, a different regime, long time ago. Obviously, that was the Derrick Henry Titans. But last time we went down there, not good memory. So I would definitely love to go down there and get a win. But this is
that's 2 times we've been down there.
I ain't want to talk about that one. The last one was worse enough, but the one before that was bad too. We got our teeth kicked in. So.
Do you guys know who the top 3 on the Titans depth chart is?
Quarterback-wise?
Wide receiver. Because obviously one of them is obviously
the Westbrook kid. It's Nick High. How do you say his name?
No, he's moved on somewhere. He went somewhere else.
They didn't bring him back.
So it would be, who was it for? Used to play for Jacksonville.
Ridley.
Calvin Ridley.
Oh yeah, Calvin Ridley number 1.
He's number 1. Yeah.
Restrepo may end up being there because Cam likes him. So.
Restrepo is there.
Restrepo is not one of the 3 I was talking about, but he is obviously on the depth chart.
Is Trey Bowman still there on the roster?
Yeah, he still is, but I don't.
How is he on the roster? But no,
I'm not sure if he's going to make the roster.
Treylon is still on the roster.
How is he still there?
I will give you. It's a pair of former NFC West wide receivers.
Robert Woods?
No, not Robert Woods, though. It feels like it would be Robert Woods. Right?
I'm about to say.
It feels like it would.
Tyler Lockett.
Yes, Tyler Lockett. He got released and is now a part of the Tennessee Titans wide receiver room.
Where they go to
Van Jefferson.
Yes, Van Jefferson, who came over from Pittsburgh as well. So, yeah, I was like, I completely forgot they got Van Jefferson and Tyler Lockett.
I forgot they got Tyler Lockett. I was like, he did something. They really didn't sign that nigga. Westbrook was like their best receiver at the end of the season last year. I don't know why
he scored a touchdown dang near every game, but yeah, he's in Miami now.
I thought for sure he was on the roster. How was he not there?
Yeah,
where did he go?
That's crazy. He's in Miami now. So that right. that wraps up the non-divisional AFC opponents, and we'll get a little bit more into these matchups as well. Next week, of course, we will be doing our divisional kind of preview, talking about some deeper things as far as divisional storylines, and then in addition, breaking down the matchups as well throughout this game and the schedule as far as that is concerned. Really quickly, check out Underdog Fantasy. Use code True3 or KingdomCast, $100 deposit match. Get ready, NBA Finals on Thursday. Obviously, Chiefs and Royals I-70 series going on, or Chiefs and Royals, Cardinals and Royals I-70 series going on the entirety of this week as well. You can bet on the NHL. You know, the finals are coming up too, if you are so inclined.
Thursday, got the small market, baby.
Yes, and yeah, so go ahead and check that out as well. And obviously, they do have some futures coming up for NFL to keep your eye out on. Anything, guys, before you get on out of here?
Oh, it's almost time. It's all. Forget about it. It's first AB. I'm about to come up now.
On the day of my daughter's wedding, and you
I want him to strike out so
get around it.
You come to me on the day of my opening.
Let me make you an offer I can't refuse.
You want me to hit a home run? That's what you want me to do? Okay, I do for you.
I wanted to strike out so badly. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up since they're going to come back from commercial break and they're going to start going crazy. Thank you guys for joining us on Tell the Truth, episode 79 for the Chiefs AFC opponents preview. Nothing less, peace out. Go Chiefs.
Chiefs.